I'm Max Clark. We'll just get into it. Here's the deal. If you're on a cloud platform, you can bring that in-house and you can save a ton of money. That's just the way this works. Commonly, what we see and what we help clients with is, compute in the cloud moving into some sort of on-premise hardware, right? So that could be the company buying their own equipment and putting it into a data center and co-locating it, or going into a bare metal platform. Bare metal is just a fancy term for you're renting the hardware from that provider. Now, the problem that we run into all the time, and actually the only thing that's running through my head right now when I'm thinking about this is a really old song, and the line is shoot the moon, right? Because you're going to give an IT person, you're going to give an engineer a requirement like, hey, let's go do this. And what are they going to do? They're going to turn around and be like, hey, man, let's go get some phenomenal hardware. Like, this is going to be great. And by the way, I did this too. I was guilty of it, right? So I understand it. And what I mean by that, we're running AWS and we're running an EC2 instance that's a 10 gig interface with 64 vCPU and 384 gig of RAM. And by the way, it's a 10 gig interface, right? And that's going through a hypervisor, so it's shared. And so we have a hardware spec now that we figured out, and it's really awesome. And what we need is a dual socket, 64 core, terabyte of RAM with, RAID 10 NVMe drives and quad 100 gig NICs. And then you're in the process and you're like, wait a minute, these things are really expensive. I thought we were going to save money. And it's like, what happened? Same thing I've seen with network stacks. It's like, hey, we've got this data center and we need to update our network switches because, we're just at capacity, or we're having some failure, or we installed this crazy cockamamie stuff because it was cheap. What do we need to do? Oh, let's go out and get like the brand new Juniper or Arista box because they're awesome. And I've always wanted to play with it. And then I can do this crazy EVPN, or I don't even know what the acronym is, but it sounds so cool and I want to figure out how to do it, box. And then you turn around and you're like, wait a minute, wait. We've got 20 cabinets times 2 switches at $50,000 a piece, plus our spline, plus our core. Why is this going to cost us $1 million to upgrade? Like, that's crazy. We shouldn't upgrade this. We should just do something else. Like, it's just easier or cheaper for us to do something else. Yeah, because you've got some crazy lunatic telling you that you need to spend $1 million or $25,000 a switch plus support, when you could just go out and you could buy the freaking thing for $2,000 and be done with it. Like, you want to spend $40,000 in switching infrastructure, or you want to spend $1 million in infrastructure? Same thing with your cloud migration project. Your repatriation, as everybody wants to call it now, is, are you provisioning sane or are you provisioning insane? Do you have an engineer that is literally shooting the moon? The sad thing about it is your team, your engineer, thinks that they're doing the right thing by shooting the moon. The reality, what they're doing is they're just killing the project. Because by the time it gets into approvals and financial evaluation, it doesn't make any sense. They've shot themselves in the foot, because what they really wanted to do was build out this platform in the first place. And then it just gets squashed because it doesn't make financial sense and it doesn't happen. So don't shoot the moon. Don't shoot these, it's like, there needs to be we read these things of like, oh, there's a person whose job in the meeting is just to figure out why to say yes. And there's another person in the meeting whose job is just to say no, right? Like, I kind of feel like it needs to be the same thing with engineering, where it's like, there needs to be somebody in the room when you're like proposing an engineering system, just to be like, no, we can do it for 1/10 of the price. And that's what we're going to do, as like a stopgap. Like, a lot of times I feel like that becomes my role with my clients. It's just talking them off the ledge a little bit. Like, yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Like, what you're talking about doing is awesome, and like, it would be awesome to do that thing that you're talking about doing, but you don't need to do that thing. You need to do this other thing, which actually meets what the business needs and will be a successful project. It won't be as cool as what you're talking about, but guess what? What you're talking about isn't going to happen because you're not going to get the money to do it. So instead, do this other thing, which is still really awesome, and you still get all the benefits from it, and it'll actually get done. Key, it'll actually get done. So if you're in a project and you get the sense that somebody's trying to shoot the moon, or you're not sure if they're trying to shoot the moon, dig into it a little bit and find out, does it actually make sense to do what you're talking about doing and what they're talking about doing? And should you just dial it back a little bit and actually be really happy and really successful in getting what you need? I'm Max Clark. I'd love to hear your story, your version of shooting the moon, and what you've seen. Comment below. Hope this helps.
Feel it.